Hey everybody, I thought I'd do another question and answer session. I'm getting a lot of questions that seem to be a little bit almost the same type of questions over and over. Some are from new viewers, some are from old viewers, so I thought I'd just kind of combine them up and shoot this video for y'all to kind of try to answer it all at once. The first one I've got here, just get right to it, it was a propane question. Somebody asked me, well, you've got all your devices on each tank, and what I've done there, like my stove has got its own tank, my refrigerator's got its own tank, etc., etc., right? Somebody's asking me, well, can you not combine them up, and do they make an adapter for that? Well, sure. It's called a T, and you got a line, you can T it and go somewhere else to the other device. They also make some RV type stuff that splits it right at the tank. You just got to treat gas lines like plumbing, right? Instead of putting water through the line, you're putting propane gas through the line. So where there is a will, there's a way. The reason I have all mine separate is because I love redundancy. If the regulator goes out on my propane stove, okay, I'm not cooking, but my heat's working, my refrigerator's working. I'm not hostage because of one part. I've got a box of some knick-knack stuff. I got a couple of regulators, stuff like that, a couple of adapters ready to go. Every once in a while a regulator will go bad. Every once in a while a Acme adapter from a 100-pound tank that brings it down to a 20-pound tank. They go bad every once in a while. I think the orifices clog up. So I keep a couple spares for that. I'm good to go. I'm from the nuclear industry, and redundancy is the way to go. And that's why I do it the way I've been doing it. So the next question that keeps popping up, am I still happy with the propane refrigerator and 2 freezers that I had? And the answer to that is absolutely yes. It's been one of the best decisions I've done here at the cabin. It's now, when I'm filming this, it's January, and for the last week and a half I might have had 2 sunny days. And the internet engineer will probably say, well, you should have gone with a bigger battery bank and you'd be okay. Well, I mean, I don't know what kind of battery bank I would have had that could have stretched my capacity out for 2 weeks. And be honest too, I hate hearing a generator run. So propane, it's quiet, it's not noisy, it works. Propane's cheap, I just swap them out. I will say this though, I got 100-pound tanks, and I'm catching myself using 20-pound tanks. And it seems like for me it's just easier for me to just swap it out. I mean, yeah, I've got the 100-pounder, but I think what I'm going to start doing, all my appliances are going to be run on a 20-pound tank. I've got plenty of them. I just swap those out, and I'll keep the 100-pounders for when the crap hits the fan type deal, or the price of propane really goes up and eventually it's going to go back down on a seasonal use. So I'm finding the 20-pounders are more convenient. I mean, once it's convenient, that's all you wind up doing. So so far so good on that. So this is another one. I've got a video out on driveway security. A lot of comments on that, a lot of other suggestions. I don't want to go into too many details because I got some crackpot neighbors. I had a run-in at Thanksgiving that was pretty horrible, to be honest about it. And I don't like how confrontational it got. I had a trespasser in my driveway. I'll say this, I've upgraded my security more, and I've got infrared cameras now that are live and record at that very moment. And without going into any other further details with that, I have night vision, among other things. And that's going to go into this next one. One of the comments was, well, I feel like the way you're living, I'm from Brooklyn and I feel like I would be safer. That's probably a true statement. And I've got a theory, and I'm about to make it one of my own laws. So I lived in another part of this area 20 years ago and had run-ins there too with neighbors. And my theory is most people that move out to the country, if they're not second-generation country people living there locally, they're kind of antisocial misfits, and they want to get away from everybody. I bought this place actually to hunt, and didn't give one concern about my neighbors or anything like that. You just kind of get to know the people afterwards, right? And with that, I have to say, I mean, I've lived in very urban areas, and in areas that were in gentrification, getting transferred over from pretty rough neighborhoods to pretty hipster neighborhoods. I actually felt safer. I mean, I was in Birmingham, Alabama. Birmingham's horrible. I actually feel safer there than I do here in a lot of ways because of my, like I said, my theory. Antisocial people move out here and they've got no people skills. And most of them are city folks and they don't know what a true boundary is. And, you know, I've got no trespassing signs up. Well, I've actually had them tell me that they thought that it just didn't apply to them because they were a neighbor. Well, I'm under the impression that great neighbors are because of great fences. Also, I don't want to be chummy with my neighbors because I don't want people knowing what I got. When I was a child, our place got broke into, things walked off, and that'll rewire you. And we're totally convinced the person that stole from us is somebody who we knew. And why would somebody come on your place to steal if they didn't have a shopping list already in their head? So I work too hard for my stuff. So back to this driveway security and my theory. I might feel like I'm rambling a little bit, but most of these people out here are antisocial misfits. Throw me in there if you want, but you've got to watch yourself. I don't go outside my own property without packing heat now. I watch my six. Most of the aggravation that happens here too, this is something else I've noticed. It's not from the guy paying the taxes. It's their guest. It's their son-in-law. It's their nephew. The guy that's actually got the skin in the game and paying the money on the property doesn't give me any grief per se. It's the guy who's his guest. Who I think he wants to strut his stuff to the guy that he's a guest of, so he'll be invited back, not knowing that he's making life hell for the guy that invited him to come visit. So it's aggravating, I'll say that. But that said, I don't back down. I noticed a couple videos, like I won't name names of off-grid channels, but yeah, I'll go ahead and say it. My self-reliance, he got run off from his, and he's moving because of his neighbors. His neighbors are antagonizing him and giving him grief. That's where he and I are different. I'm like an old mule. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to be stubborn, and you're not running me out of here. Good luck. So back to the driveway security. If you're going to live out in the country, you need to think that way. It's not a bed of roses. You need gates, you need fences, you need signs, and you need cameras. And I've got driveway alarms. I've got sensor alarms. When I'm working, I kind of get sucked into the rabbit hole of work, and if alarm goes off, I hear it, it snaps me out of it, and I can see what's triggered that alarm. And people need to think that. You know, people probably in the city got security cameras at their house. Well, you need to do it out here too. So that's that for that one. So let's go to another one. I had a video. It's kind of a rant, but kind of making fun of other off-grid channels that I think are a little bit ridiculous. One of the comments was your off-grid video, and that's what they were referring to, was mean-spirited. And that's pretty funny. Sorry, but kind of was. I think those like Jake and Nicole and Wrangler Star, I think they're a joke. I'm sorry, I'm calling them out by name, but man, give me a break. And if you thought that was mean-spirited, I hate to tell you, I held back. I had probably another 15 minutes of rant, and I didn't want to get flagged on YouTube. Sorry if I hurt your feelings. Oh well. So why did you start making YouTube videos? Man, that's a great question. I think it's because I love abuse and I'm insane. I really don't know, but the deep down reason is I got a grandson, and I'm hoping one day when I'm gone and he wants to know about Pop Pop, he can come to this channel if it's still up, and he can see what I used to do. So that's the biggest reason. And I got into it also. There's a lot of, I was watching YouTube videos trying to learn some stuff, and like I said, like the ones I made fun of, a lot of noise. And I thought I'd throw my hat in the ring and maybe help some other people. And I'm hoping it is helping other people. So here's another question. And it's on the spring videos that I have. I thought this was a pretty good one. How did you find your springs and how can I find some? So it's kind of twofold. I'll constantly walk my property just because I like being outside. And when it's the dry season, I went and looked, and I was looking for seepage. And I would flag that seepage and see how they produced over the time. And you'll find that if you've got a ridge and there's a little bit of a indention in the ridge, or there's some rock fracture in that ridge, there usually could be a spring there. So just keep your eye on them and flag them so you can find them and just see how much they produce. Chances are you'll buy some property that doesn't have a spring and you got to go to a well. So don't think a spring's just going to help save you money. I got lucky, I got blessed, and between the rainwater and the springs, it looks like I'm not going to need a well. And a well is not a guarantee of water. The average cost of a well where I'm at is 10 to 12 grand, and he will tell you he will not guarantee it. And they also go dry. There's a lot of coal mines in this area that were about 100 years ago, so the rock's always changing a little bit, and a well can just shut off no rhyme, no reason. So here's one. Do you plan on any livestock? Probably not. I am gonna, when I get caught up on all my projects, I am gonna build a hog pen with a chute where I can drive a trailer into it. As a kid, I raised a hog. I might go to that, but I'll be honest. I can go to the store and buy pork pretty cheap, and I'm a big fan of chicken, and I can buy bags of chicken cheaper than I could ever raise a chicken. And a dozen eggs, I think it's costing me $1.09. The most I've ever paid for a dozen eggs is $2. That's hard to beat. I mean, I find out my biggest bang for the buck food-wise and doing everything myself is just having a garden. And to be honest, I'm still losing money on that. A can of green beans at the store is 50 cents. They last for almost forever. It's really hard to beat. So I'll probably never go with livestock. I maybe one day I'll do rabbits. I maybe might do quail. And I maybe might do a hog, but man, it's not on my to-do list. So here's one. It's on the wind turbine. Has the wind turbine been worth it for you? I can probably look somebody dead in the eye and go no. I think it cost a lot of money. There was a lot of experiments to make it work correctly because there's just not a whole lot of information out there. To me, it's a little bit on the fringe of making power on knowledge, although there's a lot of experts out there. If I had to do it over, no, I would not. What I do like about my wind turbine setup, I've got the conduit by my deck and I've got 2 anchor points, and then I've got it in a sonotube that goes straight down the ground. So I've got a real good anchor point for that deck, and we have strong winds up here, so I think it's giving me protection for that. So there was just not putting the wind turbine in for me. There was two, get 2 birds with 1 stone type deal. So I am happy with the way I've mounted it. It is cool to watch it at night. Last night I watched it make power on the amp meter. That's cool if you're a geek like I am, but be honest, you could put a couple more batteries in, a couple more solar panels, and you'd be way ahead of the game. So that's that for that. So here's another one. How did all your canning work out over the summer? Anything you would do different? Yeah, I've kind of narrowed it down to what I'm going to do and not do. To me, I can too much squash. I'm not a fan of squash all that much. I don't like the way it feels. I don't like the way it tastes. It makes a good casserole. That said, we found a canning recipe that pickles squash, and it kind of makes it like a relish, almost like chow chow. I'm going to stick to that. I'm not going to can squash anymore. I just don't like it. Squash is a very big producer. I mean, if times got hard, you can grow squash. That's probably why the Native Americans grew it so much. But just overall, bleh. So here's one. Do you have a mailbox being off-grid? How do you handle your packages? Well, I'm going to go with what my neighbors are doing. They've got a row of mailboxes, and you hit our private road. I don't like doing that. I'm lucky I've got family that I can have packages delivered to, and then once a week I go get it. I don't like the packages out in the rain. I don't like people driving by and seeing packages out there. I think meth heads will grab it. And another thing I don't like a mailbox with your name on it. Yeah, in this day and age, anybody can find you, but I just like a little bit more privacy. Like I said, I have mail delivered to family, but if that was not there, I'd probably do like a drop ship place, like a UPS store or something like that, and then use a PO box. I'm a little bit funny about that. So here's another one. I think this mainly comes from people who are new to the channel. Why do you use purple paint for your property? Well, here we have purple paint laws. I'll paint the tree for a boundary marker, but I also put up a sign. I also have this purple no trespassing banner that I'll tie to a tree limb or around the tree, and you'll see it in the wind. So I've got paint, I've got signs, and I got the banners. I do it every 50 feet. I've spent a fortune on it, and my neighbors are in a contest. If I put a sign up, they take it down. I buy 100 at a time on signs. Just keep it up. I need the exercise. So it's slowing down. I had a neighbor finally give up living off grid. He left, and then my sign damage went completely away. Every once in a while one's gone, but whatever. So I'm very big about marking my property. That said, though, if you move off grid or you move out to the country, we can always tell when somebody's new, especially new to living in the country. As soon as they buy the property, they mark it all up. That's kind of a running joke. The reason mine's marked up so much is because of the run-ins with my neighbors. I don't want anything construed that you're welcome here. Hit the road. So there's that one. So the last one is, would you go, and I've got a video on this, would you go off grid again and use solar? For my situation, I'd say yes. But that said, if I was a little less remote and I had a electrical co-op that was easier to work with than what I have, no, I'd be on grid. And the case in point is we're about to build a butcher shop, and it's going to have a walk-in cooler. It would be fantastic if I was on grid to let that cooling unit run all the time. I'm going to have to use it on a generator. That said, I'm only going to use that walk-in cooler maybe 2 weeks out of a whole year, so that's not too bad. And I've got a generator that's very frugal on fuel, and so I'm not going to sweat that. But that said, to have that butcher shop the way I'd really want it, it'd be fantastic if I was on grid. So that's going to wrap up the questions. That's basically the generic bulk of questions that I've been asked. I really do appreciate y'all watching this channel. I know I say it in every video, but I don't know, it still enthralls me, or whatever word you want to use, when I see a comment. Because I'm still amazed, hey, somebody watched my video? Feels weird, and feels kind of cool too. And I'm hoping these are helping people. That's, like I said in another video, that's the only reason I'm doing them. Not, pardon the French, I'm damn sure ain't making any money on it. And then every once in a while I get a nasty comment and kind of question my sanity, right? But it's pretty cool when somebody asks a question, or hey, leaves a comment. So feel free to leave one, and I try to go out of my way to answer every one of them. If I haven't, I'm not going to use YouTube for an excuse. It's just because I just didn't see it. I have to check 3 different sources for all the comments, because sometimes they don't all show up. And I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. YouTube's real funky about notifying you, so I'm curious if that's still working good or not. And the only way to know is subscription. So anyway, that's going to wrap this thing up, and I appreciate you watching, and take care. God bless.